Good evening นะครับ everyone. All right. I hope that all of you are fine today นะครับ Thanks for being with me on our makeup class today. So today I'll try to just like finish chapter 6, and then if I can just like finish it before 7:30, then I'll just like try to finish the class as soon as I can นะครับ I know that somebody said you are sleepy now. So do I, but I have lots of things to do after this lecture as well, right? Okay, so let's continue for what we studied on the last class. On the last class, we talked about the development strategies that you have to know in order to prepare the project to be ready for developing. So whenever we talk about the development, okay, let me just like go back a bit. We have like different choices that you can choose apart from self-developing in the in-house. You may use the software vendor. I mean, like for example, you just like purchase the software off-the-shelf software, and then you use it straight away. Or you may just use the software that is customizable. Then you might have to ask the software owner in order to customize that software for your company. Or you may just contact the software owner. If it is the large scale software, they have their partners that are the consulting companies in order to customize the software for you. Or you may just like hire the software house in order to develop the software for the customers, or I mean for your customers as well. For example, you can see that some of our ajans, they also have like the software house that they have a lot of projects to develop the software according to the requirement of the users anyway. In that one, if you run the software house, sometimes the project that you receive, you just like get all the specs of the software already, and then you just like write down according to the system analyst prepare for you. By the way, some of the software house, they have to just like get the information. I mean, like the developers may have to work as a system analyst at the same time in order to gather the requirements from the users, and then just like help evaluating the things, prepare the modeling, and after that develop the software. It depends on the role of you in the company. Depends on the size of the company that you would like to work with as well. Okay, so apart from the in-house software development, in this one, right now you have to think that you are the middle person. You still work as the system analyst in this role. In this course, we think that, let's assume that we are the system analyst. So that means apart from preparing the software specification for the developer, communicating with your users to gather all the requirements, communicating with the management in order to confirm what they need already. So the software and hardware, you need to help the management or IT team of your customer's company in order to choose as well. If you remember, I told you once about like the concept that is what we call sizing. Some of the company, they help the users in order to do the sizing as well. So that means if you don't know how to do the sizing, you may just like contact your company if they have like some staff to do so. If you are not the professional ones, in order to do the sizing, don't do it by yourself, because it will be dangerous if you plan wrongly. If you do the sizing wrongly, the planning of purchasing of the hardware or the communication line or network for your customer will be wrong. Then you better use the professional ones. In case that, okay, your customers just ask your company to do that, and you are working with the consulting company, my suggestion is that you have to use your own networks. For example, your รุ่นพี่ or seniors, your ajahns นะครับ we know we just like can help you in order to just like find out how to do the sizing of that server as well นะครับ okay so the evaluation and selection team นะครับ when you have to just like work นะครับ in order to um, run to run the project นะครับ we need to know that okay we have the evaluation and selection team นะครับ as well some of the company นะครับ if the company is big the customer the management may just like assign somebody to be in the selection team นะครับ while some companies if the company is not big enough they may ask นะครับ IT manager consultant or system analyst to work together นะครับ work closely with the management in order to evaluate นะครับ and help selecting the hardware software นะครับ and the solutions that they need to do so in this one because like we passed many steps already we know that we need to just like try to see the alternative that is the most possible we eliminate the alternativeนะครับ that does not meet requirements that does not meet the what to say the feasibility study for example if it's too expensive or it takes too much time in order to develop นะครับ or it's not worth enough if you just like invest in this amount of money while you have like some other higher priority work to be done then that kind of choice might be just like eliminated because like sometimes when the request from the users would like to have like something to be solved but when we just like consider the priority นะครับ or the importance sometimes we found that that request does not have like high priority enough to do now you may say that okay the users may have to wait until another system นะครับ another system finish before you just like go to or move on to the next project นะครับ something like that so finally นะครับ the viable alternative will be sent นะครับ and will be present to the management and the management will make a decision whether they would like this project นะครับ to be on นะครับ or just like terminate it or which choice that they would like to use developing in-house นะครับ software or using software house or buy off the shelf software or using the customizable software นะครับ depends on the decision of management because sometimes they say that it's their own money they want to make a decision by themselves นะครับ okay next on นะครับ we talk about the costs and benefits that we have to analyze financial analysis is one of the most important things that you have to know นะครับ in this one if you see that in MUIC we have like the courses นะครับ like iDesign that you can take any courses นะครับ in MUIC or in Mahidol University นะครับ my suggestion if you have time นะครับ the course about the finance นะครับ from BBA is important because in the future นะครับ doesn't matter whether you will work with other company or you will have to set up your own company นะครับ the finance is one of the most important thing that you have to know นะครับ and if possible นะครับ accounting นะครับ if possible if you have a chance or if you have time accounting is one of important course as well นะครับ let me tell you one thing okay around like 5 or 6 years ago I opened one company นะครับ with my friend at that time นะครับ at the end of the fiscal year we had to send the company's financial report to the taxation office when the taxation officer normally they contact the management of the company นะครับ I put in the contact that they have to contact me นะครับ because I am the director of the company นะครับ what happened was when they contact me they asked me to go to meet with the the tax officer นะครับ in the taxation office the tax officer asked me that you are the owner of the company do you know how to read accounting data or accounting reports I smiled and I said that no sorry I studied for like almost 30 years ago and I forgot it already and one thing they told me is that they said no this is really important for the business owners you have to know how to read all of the finance the financial reports including the accounting as well because normally you know how the situation of the finance in your company is so that means when I ask you to study for those courses I don't mean that you have to know sorry I don't mean that you have to record all the accounting transaction or financial reports by yourself but the things you have to know is that how to read those how to understand them just that for example in here these are basic things that every business owner has to know payback analysis suppose let's imagine that if you are the management and the consultant just like present you with a payback analysis and then you don't know what it is so how do you gonna make a decision whether it's worth enough to have this project or not payback analysis is the way that we use in order to decide the duration when you develop the system already and implement that system already how long will that system return you the benefits for example if you say that you invest for 5 million baht and you say that payback period is in 10 years I can tell you that no don't do this it's too long but compare with another one another project 5 million baht the payback period is in 2 years okay that is better so what else that you have to think about next if it is 5 million baht in 2 years that means at most 2.5 million baht in 1 year that you might be returned so that means for the payback period if they say that 2 years that means for the first 2 years you may say that don't worry because even though our sales or other things cannot meet the 5 million baht but for the plan it is on second year that means for the first year if we use this system we say that okay we can save the cost for let's say the first year let's say if it is the straight line the first year is 2.5 million the second year is another 2.5 million something like that so this is the payback that you have to analyze because sometimes if you have to invest for 5 million baht you have to know that that same amount of money if you invest 5 million baht to do something else should it be better than this for example if you say that there is another you have to do another investment but that one the payback is 3 years for 5 million baht then it's easy for you you decide to have this one 5 million baht you invest in this project for 2 years you get like the money back already then you may use you may just like ask the management that okay the payback analysis for this project is 2 years for the investment that we have to do and then return on investment as well return on investment is about just like when we talk about the what to say the investment in the company since day one that you invest in each year it returns in terms of percentage sometimes it returns as a negative sometimes it returns as a positive when it become positive which year it is after we just like invest in that one so when it returns let's say as a positive it might not be it's a payback period for example if you say that okay in the 9 months of implementing this system the return on investment start being positive percentage already but it's not second year yet so it's not the payback period but anyway you still have like you still see some monies that become positive something like that and the net present value this one talks about like the way that you invest in some project compare with the money that you just like do for other projects which one worth more and in the next 5 years let's say when we talk about the next 5 years next 2 years, when we invest in this project for 5 million baht, in the next 2 years, how much does this 5 million baht worth in the next 2 years? And this is worth enough in order to invest in this project or not. These are financial analysis tools that all the business owners need to know. And also, if you are the consultants or system analysts, you should be able to help analyze this kind of the financial information for the management as well. So if you are the trainee or if you are the junior system analyst, it might not be the time for you to analyze the financial data or information for the project. The things that you may have to do is that you just like look at the senior system analysts and see how they analyze in each scenarios, and after that you just learn, because in the future you have to do it by yourself as well. So and after that we talked about the checklist for the cost benefits. The things that you have to do is that first you list each development strategy being considered. In-house development off-the-shelf software, customizable software, or hiring the software house, or some choices might be like offshore hiring as well. So then in this one you have to see that some choices or some alternative or some strategy might not work with the situation that you would like to use for solving this situation. For example, sometimes if you say that the company is very large, you don't have the off-the-shelf software for sure, then just cut off that development strategy, because you will never find any companies that sell the software that you can use to fit the business. Because you have to know that the business, when we run the business, everything doesn't go as a pattern. So that means it is not the instant noodle that you just like pour the hot water and then you can eat it. Different business has its different way to run the business. Even though you say that, okay, I run the software house same as my friend, but you have to know that when you run the software house, your business and your friend's business might focus on different group of customers, might be focusing on different markets, something like that. So that's why you have to just like think about the difference about this as well. Then you identify all costs and benefit for each alternative, pros and cons. In this one, you may use SWOT analysis to help. Be sure to indicate when costs will be incurred and benefit realized. Sometimes they have some hidden costs that you never know. That's why you have to find TCO, total cost of ownership. For example, to just like compare this one easily, think about a car. Okay, if somebody talk about let's say, let me think, what car, Lamborghini, let's say. You say that, okay, you purchase one Lamborghini in Thailand. One Lamborghini in Thailand may cost you, let's say, 25 million baht. You said I have 25 million baht. I can tell you that this one, 25 million baht for a Lamborghini is the price to buy it. But you haven't think about the cost of total cost of ownership yet. Firstly, when you buy a Lambo, you have to buy an insurance as well. Insurance, it might be around, let's say, 10% of the car price per year, or 15% of the car price per year. So that means in each year, you have to prepare around like 2.5 million baht for the insurance. Do you prepare it yet? Second one, the fuel cost. After that, the car has a warranty. After 1 year pass, some parts start wear off, then you have to replace it. Do you prepare the money for that replacement? Or if you say that, okay, the company, the car dealer has its warranty plan that you can buy more. Do you buy it yet? So these are just like example of the total cost of ownership. Apart from that one, you say that, okay, this car is this car is a supercar, and then you would like to just like park the car in your house, and that you can see that, okay, right now you say that your house, it's, I mean, what to say, the house is a house. You have just like the driveway to your house, but you don't have just like the shelter to park the car, let's say. Then you have to build it. Then you pay the money. After that, this car, if you say that it's just like plug-in hybrid, then you have to just like install the charger system, on the charging station. Next one, you say that, okay, apart from that one, you need to wrap the car with the coating film, in order to protect your car. It may cost you 500,000 baht for that one. Apart from that one, every 2 years you have to change the car tires. It may cost you 100,000 baht per 4 wheels, every 2 years. Do you prepare it yet? So these are examples of total cost of ownership that you have to think about. Okay. So many costs, Karan, yes. Same as the software. If you invest in the software, you have to just like prepare a lot of money as well. Yes, Justin. You raise your hand, right? Justin, do you hear me? You are muting your microphone now. Yes, Justin, you want to say something? Justin, I cannot hear you. Excuse me. No, not at all. Oh, thank you, Nawat, because I thought that it's just me that cannot hear Justin. Nawat, can you please say something? I just want to test my speakers, whether it's okay or not.
Hello, John, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Justin said he accidentally raised his hand. Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem at all. Yeah. Okay. So these are just like the example of the cost that you have to think about. It's not just one-time cost, because most of the time you see you have excuse me, you have the incurred cost that you have to think about. Benefits is as well, but normally you don't have much incurred benefits, but you will realize when the benefit has been discovered or realized. Then we have to consider future growth and the need of scalability as well, just in case that in the future you have more users, or fewer users. How can you do it? Sometimes the cloud system might be one good choice, but some companies might not be ready for the cloud-based system because they consider or they concern about the security issues. So just think about that as well. And also include support costs for hardware and software that you have to think about as well. And as I mentioned on the last class, for hardware, normally they have 1 year. They have 1 year warranty or 2 years warranty, and after that, they might have just like the maintenance cost that they ask you to pay 10% per year, something like that. But I mean, for the hardware, it doesn't cost much compared with software. Software is a lot more expensive, because normally they might charge you like 15 to 20% per year for the cost of software that you purchased. For example, like in SAP, they charge you around 17% up to 20%, for the cost that you purchase the license from the SAP company, something like that. The next one, we talk about various costs, various software licensing options like fixed fee and formula based. When you have number of users or number of transactions, depends on the policy of the company. In the future, if you plan to develop your own software, doesn't matter whether it's a client server or the cloud based, you can charge for the licensing option as well. Okay, one of our alumni, our CS alumni, he developed the cloud-based accounting software นะครับ I just like talked to him 2 years ago before COVID time. He said that okay, if we are not ready to buy the server and then install the accounting software, the cloud-based is one choice นะครับ because it's cheaper. You may just have to pay, let's say, um, 5,000 baht per one license per one user, something like that. They don't charge you for a number of transactions when you use นะครับ something like that. You may set up different options for different size of your customers นะครับ if it's a small company that has, let's say, less than 5 accountants, let's say, you charge per account นะครับ per user, something like that. But if the customer said that in the company they have around 15 or 20 users, you may say that okay, you have two options for them. One is for like you charge yearly for users according to number of users, let's say 15 to 20 นะครับ and then you don't charge for the transaction fee. Then the price for the charging for each user might be a bit more expensive. But some companies, they have the plan like this ครับ they charge 15 to 20 users นะครับ with lower price. For example, it might be, let's say, 3,000 baht per one user per 1 year, but they charge the transaction fee, for example, 1 baht per one transaction, something like that นะครับ different formulas can be just like used in different style of the company นะครับ also for each alternative นะครับ when we have to think about the cost and benefit for each alternative, you have to apply the financial analysis tools to each alternative, because finally we have to compare which one is the best one, and then you study the result to prepare a report and report to our management, to the management นะครับ so for the software acquisition process, what are we going to do นะครับ when we have to just like acquire the software into the customer's company นะครับ step number 1, you have to evaluate the requirement of that information system first นะครับ first, what are key features? You have to identify key features first. After that, you have to consider the network and web related issues. In case that you say that it will be the cloud-based นะครับ or web-based programs that you would like to use for that information system requirements. Because for example นะครับ if you say that okay, we use SAP, but in the past, any organization that has to use SAP, they suggest all of the terminals or computers to use SAP must use the LAN cables. They don't suggest the wireless one, because of the instability of the network might cause a problems while the data is transferred. But right now the problem is fixed already. So in this one นะครับ as the example, you have to consider network and web related issues as well. The next one, we have to estimate volume and future growth นะครับ so in this case, it's about the sizing that I mentioned before. Specify hardware, software, or personal constraints. For example, whether this company has the IT people or not นะครับ whether they have the existing hardware already or not นะครับ what about the software? For example, the system software, the networking software, do they have it or not นะครับ and also, do they have the space to keep that kind of the servers or not? For example นะครับ some of the companies, they just like they are just a startup company, and when they would like to talk about the office นะครับ the headquarters might be just like they rent a co-working space นะครับ and a meeting room. They don't have just like the physical own headquarters. So that means for sure, if you would like to set up the server in their office, it's impossible. Then you may have to use the choice, like for example, co-location or web hosting, something like that. And then you have to prepare a request for proposal or quotation นะครับ so in this one, request for proposal นะครับ in this one นะครับ we call it as RFP or request for proposal. Request for proposal is a document นะครับ that you write. It might be a couple of pages to tell นะครับ the hardware or software company นะครับ or consulting company to write a proposal to your customers company or to you. For example นะครับ okay, suppose I have to suppose MUIC would like to buy a new let me just like say information system for automated car parking. Okay, you can see that right now. If you just like would like to park the car, normally in MUIC you just like pay per month and then you have the sticker that you can go to park the car. Suppose I say that, okay, let's think about like the shopping center นะครับ that you go for parking. In front they have the sign to tell you that, okay, how many how many available parking lots on each level นะครับ and they have the light นะครับ like the pilot lamp to show in each slot นะครับ of the parking, so that you know that if it's green you can park, if it's red that is occupied by someone. And in front นะครับ there will be just like the what to say, the card issuer that you just like press the button, or you can just like what to say tap นะครับ in front of the sensor to get the ticket, or you may want to have like the license plate scanner นะครับ instead of just pressing the button. If you if you drive the car to the parking lot นะครับ the camera will scan that license plate, recognize it, and then it opens up the gate for you. Then you can just like go to park the car, and after that when you would like to exit from the parking นะครับ, there will be just like the they may have just like some booth that you can just like pay the money ahead before you exit, or they might be like some authority or some staff in order to just like collect the money from you นะครับ. So this one, if MUIC asks me to just find นะครับ the supplier for this system นะครับ, then I have to write a request for proposal. In the request for proposal here, I have to mention that I want to have the parking management system for 3 underground levels นะครับ of a building, and I have around, let's say if I say that I have like 500 parking lots นะครับ and it is separated into 200, 200 and 100 in each level. I want the green and red parking lamp นะครับ on top of each parking space. I want to have the camera that can scan the license plate and so on. I just like specify in this request of proposal document. When the vendor comes, they prepare a proposal for us. They will say that, okay, we propose this one to you นะครับ and then they just like specify for their products that they have got นะครับ talk about pros and cons that they have, the experience that they have got นะครับ and sometimes if some of the system นะครับ does not need to have the customization, you may ask the quotation directly นะครับ quotation is the document นะครับ it might be just like 1 or 2 pages only talking about the price นะครับ they don't just like explain all the things. They just say that, okay, quotation to Mr. Paramin, okay, one server นะครับ HP Blade server นะครับ Core i7 or Xeon นะครับ blah blah blah. What is the hard drive size? What is the memory size นะครับ What is the RAID system that they have? Okay, and then they specify the price. Just that is quotation ครับ It's different from proposal นะครับ Proposal just like have to tell everything in details นะครับ Okay. After that, when you prepare a request for proposal or quotation already นะครับ then this request for proposal or quotation will be sent to the vendor นะครับ to the software or hardware vendor in order to let them prepare the proposal or quotation for you normally นะครับ quotation takes less time to prepare than a proposal because normally a proposal they need to write down a lot of things for you and analyze for what you need นะครับ customize นะครับ their products นะครับ or solution to match with what you need while the quotation sometimes they have like some specific models that they would like to propose to you then they just like write down in terms of quotation to list the price for you นะครับ the next one after we do step number 1 to evaluate information system requirements already step 2 you have to identify potential vendors or outsourcing options in this one นะครับ before we send the RFP or quotation to the vendors don't send to every vendors นะครับ in the country so just identify potential vendors or outsourcing option first the first one นะครับ internet is a primary marketplace you can search from the internet or if you have if you have your network for example your friends นะครับ agents or just like people that you know in the same industry as yours you can just like talk to them as well they may suggest like good choice for you นะครับ another approach is to work with a consulting firm so normally นะครับ if you work with a consulting firm they can suggest good vendors for hardware and software for you for example if you work with the consulting firms and you say that okay you want to implement SAP something like that and you say that we want to have our server for SAP as well but we haven't got it can you find the vendors for us then they will find they can write the request for proposal or quotation that match with like the spec or the sizing that they plan for you and then they can just like come to just like suggest it to you Another valuable resource is the Internet Bulletin Board system that contains thousands of forums called news group or you can just like find some websites that are talking about the review for the products or services of like vendors or other outsourcing options as well after you can identify potential vendors already นะครับ step number 3 is to evaluate alternative นะครับ how to evaluate them นะครับ the first one you have to talk to existing users นะครับ and also the alternative that you may receive or you may get like some what to say presentation or the proposal from your vendors from the vendors already existing users may come to help evaluating this so some of the software they have the version that you can just like test for example SAP they may have just like the link for you so that your company and some users can just log in by using their accounts in order to test on that application as well you can just like see the benchmarking for that kind of software or that alternative as well and you can match each package against the RFP features that you send because I mean like for every company or every vendor that you send you have to send the same request of proposal or request for proposal that means when every company receive the same RFP then the things that they propose to you should come along with that RFP then you can compare them you match each package against the RFP features and then you rank the choices when you rank the choice I remember that on chapter 2 on chapter 2 there were some groups that you had to just like use Excel to compare something remember in that case study this one to rank the choice you just like give the criteria that you put in each RFP first after that you give the score of each vendor from that criteria and after that you just like sum the score and then which company get the highest one นะครับ you may just like propose this one to the management. After that, step 4 we perform the cost benefit analysis นะครับ in this step you identify and calculate total cost of ownership for each option you are considering. If you remember, total cost of ownership includes everything hardware, software นะครับ people that you have to just like allocate them to work with that kind of software, maintenance fee นะครับ that you have to use นะครับ and license fee for the software as well, consulting fee นะครับ have to combine everything together in order to get the TCO นะครับ after that when you purchase software what you are buying is software license นะครับ if you purchase a software package consider a supplemental maintenance agreement นะครับ supplemental maintenance agreement or MA นะครับ M/A นะครับ that is maintenance agreement นะครับ for MA นะครับ we call in the short term as MA. Everyone in the world in this industry they know for the MA agreement. For the M/A or maintenance agreement in here นะครับ normally the company นะครับ or the vendor will tell you that okay when will you have to do the MA. For example they may say that okay 1-year warranty for the software นะครับ and after that นะครับ we will have MA for you. Then you may ask them that okay can you just like send us for the MA นะครับ so that we can consider first, because I mean like every software นะครับ if you just use it or implement it already you cannot run it without MA นะครับ because when the time goes by there will be changes. For example if Windows upgrade itself นะครับ to another version, sometimes the software that you install might not work anymore. Then MA will help you. In that, you have to contact นะครับ that software vendors and tell them that okay, right now I cannot just like use that software because some of my staff upgrade their computers and then they come with a new version of the Windows, then it doesn't work, or on Mac as well it doesn't work, or your company plan to use Mac on the next year, you just tell them ahead that okay now we don't have it but on the next year you buy 100 Mac stations so that we need to use the software นะครับ with our Macs. So what should we do? Then they may say that in the MA it includes that one. They'll give you just like some maybe on-site service to just like suggest you, or they may say that okay they have what to say help desk that you can make a contact to ask them for installing that software นะครับ for the Mac version นะครับ so that one will be included in the MA. So this one you have to think about this one, ask them too for the MA. And if you plan to set up your business นะครับ the software business, you have to just like plan for the MA for your customers as well, because for sure they will ask for it, and then you need to have นะครับ you need to provide MA for the customer as well นะครับ this one นะครับ normally MA is not for free. It is 15 to 50 it is 15 to 20% นะครับ yearly that your customer has to renew นะครับ so the next one, after we think about the cost benefit analysis already, you have to prepare a recommendation to the management. You should prepare a recommendation that evaluates and describes the alternative together with the costs, benefits, advantages and disadvantages of each option นะครับ At this point you may be required to submit a formal system requirement document and deliver a presentation. So this one นะครับ that means you have to just like show to the management that okay so this one is the alternative that our company choose นะครับ that our company means that okay if you work with the customer company นะครับ that the company choose, and what are the models that you have to develop. For example นะครับ what part that is the physical model or logical model you just like present it so that the management will realize that okay this is the system that we are going to get. Next one นะครับ step number 6 is to implement the solution so the implementation นะครับ will depend on the solution that's selected. If you select in-house development นะครับ that means your software specification will be sent to the developers in the company. If you hire the software house นะครับ you send the software specification to them. Or if it is the customizable software, the next thing is that you just send the model that you prepare, and then you have to work with the consultant so that they can customize the software for the company of the users. But before the new software becomes operational, you must complete all implementation steps, including loading, configuring นะครับ and testing software, training users, and converting data files to the new system's format นะครับ so that means นะครับ when the software is developed already นะครับ it's not ready to use yet because like you have to install it in the specified server first, or if it is the cloud-based system, you have to customize or you have to set up that client นะครับ and also on the part of the servers as well นะครับ on the cloud server in order to match with the need of the users. And also if the system if the business has been running for a while, that means your system นะครับ you also have the legacy systems that run before. The things that we need to do is that you need to convert the data from legacy system or from as-is system to the to-be system so that the new system can have like the data to be ready to run นะครับ apart from that one นะครับ you also นะครับ need to do the things that make a decision how to run the new system. Some of the business, they decide to have the concept that we call parallel run. The parallel run means that you run the old system นะครับ the legacy system, and then you run the new system together นะครับ as the parallel นะครับ some of the company decide to run it as the cutover นะครับ this is the old system, and on the designated date you run the new system straight away นะครับ some of the companies, they would like to run the system as the phase 1 you still run the old system, and then you start using new system, and when you run new system for a while you cut off นะครับ the old system and run just only the new system only นะครับ so this is the method how do you gonna use the new system นะครับ I will talk about in detail when we reach that part. After that นะครับ when we talk about the software acquisition process already นะครับ the completion of system analysis task นะครับ is that the first one นะครับ we have to do the system requirement documents นะครับ. now we are coming to the end of the analysis phase นะครับ that means you have to prepare system requirement document. System requirement document or software requirement specification or software spec นะครับ it contains requirement for the new system. This one นะครับ is ready to be given to the developers already. So this one, it's just like quite lean on the technical parts. It contains requirements for the new system, describe the alternatives that were considered, and make specific recommendation to management. It's like a contract นะครับ but anyway, for the system requirement document, you have to format them and organize them to be easy to read and use นะครับ so in this one, some of the system analysts นะครับ they might prepare the system requirement document like a report นะครับ in the report format. They have chapter 1 2 3 4 5 นะครับ. chapter 1 is introduction, chapter 2 they talk about the current system, chapter 3 they talk about the choices or alternative, chapter 4 they may talk about just like the alternative that you choose, and then you have just like the model นะครับ like data flow diagrams, UML, use case นะครับ object oriented modeling นะครับ and so on after that นะครับ you also have the next chapter that talks about just the vendors that you just um, search for นะครับ and who is the winner something like that you just summarize everything in the system requirement document after that you present to the management when you present to the management you summarize primary viable alternative that you have got for example you may say that okay once you interview the users we found that there are 5 troubles นะครับ from the legacy system that you have to fix นะครับ so you may say that okay the request 1 2 3 4 5 what are they and we found that request number 4 is the highest priority and also when we just like calculate for the financial information for this alternative number 4 it is the most viable alternative นะครับ and then explain why evaluation and selection team chose the recommended alternative after that you allow the time for discussion and for questions and answer or Q&A นะครับ because sometimes the management may have the question for you obtain a final decision from management or agree on a timetable for the next step in the process sometimes they may say that I don't want to make a decision now I think we should come back in the next meeting I want some more information blah 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 and then they tell you then you just like find out the next meeting นะครับ to conclude so depending on their decision นะครับ your next task as system analyst will be one of the following the first one implement an outsourcing alternative นะครับ you have to communicate and contact with the outsourcing people or companies นะครับ transferring the knowledge to them นะครับ for the software spec that you prepare นะครับ or you may be the developers นะครับ yourself or you may be like the system analyst who communicate with the IT people in the company to facilitate the development of the in-house system or you might just like be an agent to purchase or customize software package perform additional system analysis work if any because sometimes when the developers just have some problems they may just like tell you that okay this is my problem can you answer this นะครับ if you are not sure don't answer นะครับ you go back to ask your users about that one or sometimes in the worst case the management may say that I don't want this system to go on นะครับ then you may stop all further work and then just like go back to start the first phase นะครับ to do just like gathering the information again นะครับ something like that so the transition to the system design phase what are we going to do นะครับ in order to move on นะครับ to system design you have to prepare for the system design task นะครับ to prepare for system design task it is essential to have an accurate and understandable system requirements document นะครับ you have to prepare the logical and physical design นะครับ logical design defines the functions and features of the system and the relationships among its components นะครับ while the physical design of information system is a plan for actual implementation of the system variable name language that you will use database นะครับ that you are going to use นะครับ so นะครับ sometimes when you would like to have the transition phase to system design นะครับ some team use agile methods นะครับ but although agile methods do not require particular form of documentation a successful development team must understand and record users requirements as they evolve during the project นะครับ so this one must be just like documented but it might not be just like outstanding as the documentation that we just like officially write it down in this one so when we have to design the system นะครับ the first part is overview นะครับ system is effective if it supports business requirements and meets user needs. A system is reliable if it can handle input errors, processing errors, hardware failures, or human mistakes, or human errors. A system is maintainable if it's flexible, scalable, and easily modified. Also, we have to think about the user's considerations as well. In this part, you have to carefully consider any point where users receive output from or provide input. Sometimes the input might be let's think about like the ATM system. For the ATM system in the past, the only input from the users was two ways, two different ways. The first one is ATM card. Second one is from keyboard. The keyboard, okay, it might be in two different forms. First one is the physical keyboard on physical keyboard on the ATM machine. When the time goes by, we have the virtual keyboard that is on the touch screen. Okay, that was just the only inputting ways from the users. But when the time goes by, you can see that right now, many of the ATM system do not need to use ATM cards anymore. The things that you may have to do, let's compare. I have used two different ATM systems. One is SCB, the other one is KBank in Thailand. So if I would like to withdraw the money from SCB without using the card, the things I have to do is that I have to just like do everything in my application, my mobile app first. That let's say if I would like to have like 1,000 baht, I just like choose 1,000 baht and then I specify phone number on mobile apps. After that, when I go to ATM machine, the input way for me is through the keyboard only. I have to press my phone number, and then I have to just like press the keyboard for the PIN code or one-time password that I receive. I have to just like get the money. So you can see that right now, SCB, it cuts off the usage of the card. Okay. Next, when we talk about the KBank for the withdrawal money with the cardless, the things you do is do similar way as you did with SCB. You just go to the mobile apps for the mobile banking of KBank, log in, and then you just like choose the amount of money that you would like to withdraw. After that, when you go to ATM machine, the things that you press on the button, you have just like a couple of buttons to press only. You press that you would like to withdraw the money from KBank, and after that, you just scan the QR code that you see from the screen, then you get the money already. So you can see that at most you press 2 or 3 times or 2 or 3 quick keystrokes on the ATM machine. Wow. What to say, the SCB Bank, if you would like to withdraw the money by using the cardless, you have to use like at least like 10 or 11 keystrokes. This kind of thing is just like the way where users provide the input. And we have to anticipate the future needs as well. Let me just give you an example. In this one, the slide show you Y2K issues. Y2K issues, what are they? Let me just like talk about it a bit. I have a question. Okay. Class, I'm just wondering, in which year you were born? Can you please type in the chat box? In which year you were born? 2002, 2001. Okay. I just want, okay, yeah. Okay, Max and Laura. Max, I think maybe Max is the only person who just like were born before Y2K. Oh, Freddie, okay, Freddie. Okay, you were like, I think you might be in the kindy or might be in the nursery school already at that time. Okay. Y2K นะครับ or year 2000 problems at that time it is a classic problem or classic issues for all of the computer science, computer engineering and developers นะครับ all time. What happened in the past นะครับ all of the computers at that time it kept the year in 2 digits only. So what does it mean? In the year 1999, okay, the systems, every systems in the world นะครับ kept 99 นะครับ as a year. But when it passed 2000 นะครับ on the 1st January of the year 2000 at midnight, what happened was the year นะครับ on every transactions of the of any kind of system นะครับ would be kept as 00 นะครับ because it's 2 digits, right? If we didn't do anything, what will happen? The banking transactions, let's imagine ครับ if you have to calculate the interest for the customer นะครับ we will have to calculate how long does the customer deposit the money นะครับ and then multiply by interest rate. So 00 นะครับ if you don't do anything you will think that you deposit the money since year 1900. So the what to say interest will be a lot นะครับ that will make the bank to become bankrupt. That's why นะครับ year 2000 นะครับ in terms of banking it has a problem already. Next, if we are talking about the elevator นะครับ the elevator might think that okay the time that the users press the button is 1900, then it doesn't move. So people นะครับ the passengers of that lift got stuck. And I mean every single businesses or industries around the world will get the problem for Y2K. So around a year นะครับ before Y2K happens นะครับ that means around year 1999 we had to change every system in the world to store นะครับ to store the year in 4 digits instead of 2 digits to solve this problem นะครับ in this one. So that's why I think 99% of the system passed year 2000 without any problems ครับ. And for some system that they couldn't fix the problem on time, they stop the system for a while. They don't run on the New Year's night of year 2000 นะครับ to avoid the problem and fix the problem later on. Because normally in most of the countries in the world, on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of January of that year, there were public holidays. So they had the time to fix the problem at least 3 days. นะครับ so this one is the example นะครับ so in the future there might be the future needs that you have to anticipate as well. For example นะครับ Garan said that there's also year 2038 problem. What's going on ครับ Garan, can you share to us? In year 2038, something with value going over in size. That might be the things that you may have to anticipate นะครับ as well. Apart from that one นะครับ let's imagine some of our input we say that we think that it's unique from one person to another. For example นะครับ you say that okay fingerprint is unique. So that means for I mean like access control นะครับ we use fingerprint including passport. You can see that the immigrations of most of the countries around the world, when you just like use the passport already นะครับ you have to put your all fingers นะครับ on the scanner so that they can scan, and they expect that it must be unique. But in the future, if you found that we can clone someone with the same fingerprints, or we found that for the natural born human beings, if we found that he or she has the same identical fingerprints than as another one, this will be the problem, and then you may have to anticipate something like that. Or about the chromosome as well. If some of the applications that we use the biometric to just like be the identification for each person, this one you have to anticipate the future needs as well. Provide flexibility and parameter or default values that we need to just like set up for the users as well. Okay. The next thing for the data considerations so the things that we have to think about and concern is that, okay, when you have the data, how can data be entered as soon as possible? Let me just give you an example. You can see that when you go to the convenience store, when the products were sorted on the shelf, how do they know that how many items of products they have left on the shelf? For example, in the past, when the shopkeeper had to just like do was that they had to count number of items of each product on the shelf, and they write down in a book. And on the other way around, when the product is sold, they use the cash registration machine in order to just like type the code of the product. And at the end of the day, they can compare whether they are matched or not. Or sometimes they do it once a week or once a month. You can see that this one is not entering data as soon as possible. They try to, but the system didn't support. The better way for now, you can see that, okay, in terms of cash registration machine, instead of typing the product code, that might be wrong. You may just like use the barcode scanner, or they may use something like what to say. Yeah, you use barcode scanner. That is faster, right? Okay. So when you just like solve the problem in that one, that means at the end of the day, if you print out the report from that cash registration machine, you see the exact number of products that going out of our supermarket systematically. This one does not include for the stolen products. Okay, we talk about like the product that the customer purchased. Now, what about the stock on the shelf? If you go to many convenience store, for example, in Thailand, when we go to 7-Eleven, if you go during daytime, you see some of their staff having the gun scanner, barcode scanner. They just go to the shelf of the product. Then you just count number of items, and then they scan the barcode, type the number of product that they have left. After they finish, they just like sync their gun scanner with the system. Then they can check immediately whether the products match with just like incoming and outgoing. Sorry, the stock of the product match with the outgoing items or not. For example, if they scan fresh milk in the fridge, they have, let's say, 10 box left. Okay, but today I mean like the incoming stock from today is around like, let's say, 20 box of milk. We have in the fridge for 10 box of milk. That means you should sell the product. You should sell that milk for 10 boxes already. But if the sales reported that, okay, today we just sell 1 box of milk only, what about the 9 of them? Where are they? So at the end of the day, the manager may have to report or may ask their staff to find that bottle of those 9 boxes of milk in their supermarket or in their fridge. Maybe they just like shuffle with other products, something like that. So that's why this is a good thing to have the data to be entered as soon as possible and verify data as it is entered. How to verify? In the past, if you had to type in the product code, sometimes it might be wrong. We just use the expertise of the cashier in order to key in the product code. But right now, we don't need to use any expertise. We just like scan the barcode. And a little more, you can see that when you buy anything from supermarket, for example, if you buy 3 bottles of Coke some supermarket นะครับ scan the barcode of one bottle and then press times 3 on the screen while some supermarket they scan every bottle manually that means they don't type times 3 on the screen why is that that is not about the system limitation นะครับ that's the rule of that supermarket they said that okay every staff you are not allowed to enter numbers of items you have to scan every single product so that you make sure that you don't type wrong number on the screen or you might not miss calculating or miscounting number of product for example sometimes when I go to some cash and carry like macro some people purchase 20 bags of rice you can see that if you count it's 20 bags or sometimes when there are a lot and there are lots of people in the queue you might think that it's just 18 if the customer said 18 you said you just type 18 but actually it might be wrong so the policy of macro they said that the cashier has to scan every single bag of the rice or of the products so you can see that when you go to macro นะครับ the cashier scan every single item manually they never type number of items times and then they scan once นะครับ okay so in this one it said that use automated methods of data entry whenever possible like barcode scanner instead of typing นะครับ something like that okay. right after that for the data considerations more นะครับ control data entry access and report all entries or change to critical values นะครับ this is what we call audit trail what is it นะครับ sometimes นะครับ if you remember on yesterday I talked about นะครับ some systems for example SAP they do not allow you to change the data in the database manually นะครับ because it will break the law because when you send the report to the government if some data has been manually changed นะครับ it will be in trouble so in this one when anyone just like access that database นะครับ you have to control the data entry access as well so that means you need to have a log file to tell who enter that data for example if you use a user ID to log in normally the regular user account including the developer account cannot change the data in the database ครับ the only way to change the data in the database is from the system itself so that means it might say that okay if the data in the database must be changed you need to have a flag number XYZ let's say XYZ means the system change the database itself but otherwise นะครับ if the users นะครับ log in into that database you have the user ID that is not XYZ so it will be read-only mode นะครับ you don't have the right to write or edit mode on that data something like that this is audit trail so that you know what's going on with your data นะครับ log every instance of data entry and changes who did it and what value that it has been changed นะครับ what was the original value before change นะครับ these will be in the log files enter data once นะครับ that means you shouldn't ask the users to enter the same data all the time for example if we talk about นะครับ some forms that you see when it asks you for the address นะครับ in the past it asks that what is your current address sorry what is your citizen ID card's address and then it asks you for the current address so that means in that case if you stay in the same place as your citizen ID card you had to enter the data twice so better way is that you should have a checkbox if the users stay นะครับ in the same place as their citizen ID card specify they just tick and then the data and the address will be copied automatically this is what we call enter data once นะครับ avoid data duplication นะครับ That means when you enter the data, if you say that every page you have to enter your first name and last name all the time, this is data duplication. You should avoid having it. The next one, for the architecture, before that we talk about data, now we talk about architecture. Architecture consideration, we use a modular design, try to use modular design so that it will be reusable, and just like eliminate when we don't want, design modules that perform a single function are easier to understand, implement, and maintain. Next one, design trade-off. Design goals often conflict with each other. Most design trade-off decisions that you will face come down to the basic conflict of quality versus cost. So that means you have to think first. You have to trade off, because sometimes when you design a very nice interface, but it just like takes long time for users to enter, or it might be prone for attacking by the hackers, that one you should change it because of the quality issues as well. You have to think about that one, and avoid decisions that achieve short-term savings, but it might mean higher cost later. The next one, one thing that can help us in order to design is that you may use prototyping. For the prototyping, we have different kind of prototyping methods that you should know. In the design phase, we have to design the prototype, and then we just let our users to see them, to give the comment, whether they approve or they need any changes. For prototyping method, we have system prototyping, design prototyping, throwaway prototyping. Prototyping offers many benefits, and we have to consider the potential problems for the prototyping. For the system prototyping, it just like you just prepare the prototype to simulate the whole system works, but it doesn't really work. I mean like when you finish already, you cannot really use that one. You have to develop the real one instead. For example, if you go to some motor shows, they have the car prototyping, right? They said that okay, the car is like the coupe car with just like 500 cc's engine, with just like some kind of facilities inside. That is just the system prototyping. It looks real, but I mean like if you really have to drive that car, it doesn't work. While the design prototyping is the prototyping to show all the design only, but inside there is no algorithm to work. At most, you have buttons to just like log in, but I mean like, or at most you just like enter any user ID and password, and then it goes to that another page, but it doesn't really work. Something like that. Throwaway prototyping is like when you draw, you may just like draw a picture by using some software, and then after this one is just to confirm the interface, whether users are okay or not. If they are okay, you just like send to the developers to develop more. But if they're not okay, you throw that prototype away and then create a new one to let them just like comment, something like that. We talk about it more in details next on. Prototyping offers many benefits because users can see the picture of the prototype, and then you have to consider the potential problems for the prototyping as well, because sometimes when you develop some prototype it takes a lot of time as well, and sometimes if it would be great if some prototype when you develop you can just like use it, you can just like increase some more functionalities on it, and you can really use that prototype as a real system. That would be great, but in the reality, can we really do the things like that or not? For the prototyping tools, we can use case tools to generate some prototypes, application generators, report generators, screen generators, 4GL, 4GL environment. These are just like the tools that help us in order to create a prototype. But in order to create a prototype we also have some limitations as well นะครับ for the prototypes นะครับ prototype is a functioning system but it is less efficient than a fully developed system นะครับ for example if we say that we talk about the throwaway prototype even though you draw it นะครับ but at least you make the users to understand how this interface works นะครับ so this is the functioning system as well but I mean like you cannot really use it you have to throw it away to let the developer to develop according to the user's comment. System developers can upgrade the prototype into the final information system by adding necessary capability นะครับ otherwise the prototype is discarded or thrown away นะครับ depends on the type of prototyping that you use as well. Now let's talk about the trend นะครับ of the software development. The view from IT community นะครับ software quality will be more important than ever นะครับ so right now you can see that most of the software that we develop we consider the quality of it so the project management will be a major focus of IT managers นะครับ the project management I add it into our course as well that I will just like teach you after our midterm exam นะครับ so apart from that one service oriented architecture or SOA นะครับ this one they just like design the architecture นะครับ to support the need นะครับ or the request of the users นะครับ they try to generalize the service request we call it as SOA นะครับ this is loose coupling นะครับ because it's quite general when you just like use this kind of service oriented architecture for most of the business or in the same industry something like that so this one we call it as loose coupling นะครับ and their growth in open source software developers will use more web services นะครับ and programmers will continue to use dynamic language instead of using just the static ones. So in this chapter, we describe the system development strategies, the preparation and presentation of system requirements documents, and the transition to system design phase of system development lifecycle. An important trend that views software as a service or SaaS rather than just a product has created new software acquisition options. System analysts must consider web-based development environment and the system analyst roles in the software development process depends on the specific development strategy that you select. The most important factor in choosing a development strategy is total cost of ownership or TCO. You have to include every aspect of the cost of that product. The process of acquiring software involves a series of steps that I mentioned in the slides already. And a prototype is a working model of the proposed systems. So these are just like what we have to know about the system development strategies. Okay. That is all for this chapter, everyone. So up to this point, do you have any questions, anyone?